Good evening, guys, and welcome back to Analyst Journaling. We are going to continue with this easy journal that we are going to put together. So it will be papers inserts to this today. But first I want to tell you about a fun thing that happens today. I realized that my stash of rusty needles was a bit low, and I don't know if it's the same for you that's in Sweden, that all needles and paper clips nowadays are patterned with something that it will be not able to rust. So when I go to the store today and try to buy needles and paper clips, I can't get them to rust. They get this rusty color, but as soon as I touch them or put them on something, they will rub off, so they lose their rust. So today I decided I need to get some old needles that was the time before they got this coat of something that make them not rust. So I actually called the radio in Sweden. It's a not local radio, but for part of Sweden, Dalarna, that is a region in Sweden. So they have this program where you can search for things you want to have, and then other listeners can call you and sell them what they need. So I actually called the radio, and I have been on Swedish radio today, and I have got needles, old needles, so now I can rust needles again, and I'm so happy. I actually got over 20 calls from all over this region, so 4 was in my hometown, and then I got a lot of ladies that are willing to mail this to me, these needles. So it's a bit fun to know that I had to go on the radio to get needles to rust. And the lady that was hosting the program, she was a bit confused when I said I want needles that was able to rust. Because when you usually use the needles, you don't want anything to destroy the clothing or the thing you use them for to sew. So it was a bit fun to tell them about my journals and how I made them. And all these ladies are wonderful and did send me maybe about a couple of thousand of needles. So I have this big box now out on my porch where I have put in salt water and vinegar, so they will rust pretty fast. So yes, Analyst Journaling has been on radio today, so that was a bit fun. Another thing I want to tell you before we start, if any of you that listen to this are on my list for buying journals, please check your mail and your messenger. I have sent messages to some of you that are on my list for buying journals, and I haven't got any answer. So if I don't hear anything, I will go to the next person on the list. So please check your mail or your messenger. I have sent on both, so hopefully the lady will see it. Okay, we are going to do the spine that I'm going to sew my signature into. And to give it a little bit more sturdiness, I'm going to put it on this paper for wrapping. This is strong and still flexible. So just going to put this aside. And then we are going to cut the paper so we can, or maybe I should do like this. I can just take my textile and make it double. And then we can take the ruler and cut it. I'm not so fussy, so just rip it off. So I'm just going to check. I don't want it to be too big. I think this was kind of perfect. So then let's glue the paper together. Just straighten it a bit. And then I'm going to glue my textile on top of the paper. You can use a thicker textile or you can leave it as it is. This is just because it's easier. I think it's easier to sew in the signature if it's a bit more sturdy. And this is kind of where I'm going to sew in my signature. I'm going to do one big signature just because it's easier to put it in and shift the papers when it's full. Then I can reuse the frame, no, the cover, and that's not good to do. So don't need to reuse the, we can reuse this and don't need to do some new covers. So then this will go like this into the journal. But first we are going to take the papers and make a big signature. And I have pulled out papers and textiles and lace, watercolor paper and different patterns paper. So let's see if we can make something from this. I think I want to start with some handmade paper. That's always a nice start. And maybe a piece of textile to give that some strength. I think I need to have that on the other side. This is some eco-dyed textile that I have. Or not. Maybe I should take this first. This is a watercolor paper that I have put some textile on already. Can use that instead as the first paper. And then I'm just taking different papers with different patterns and Some of them are blank. So I think I actually just going to put this in like that, and then continue with some more papers. These are eco-dyed papers, so we might could put some eco-dyed paper there too. I like when it's different paper and sticking out, different sizes. Some music paper. Some other patterned paper. And some more watercolor paper. See if we can put in some lace. I have these thin papers with eco-dye dyed pattern on. I think we can take another piece of music paper and another piece of eco-dyed paper. Take the textile first. This is some old linen, hand stitched. Putting in a doily just because it's beautiful. So now I think this will be enough. So then I'm just checking so everything seems to be in place. Often it's the textile that moves. some shiny lace or something like that. I actually think I'm going to glue the doily to the back of this paper. That's easier to keep it in place. Little trick. Then you can put it exactly where you want it and glue it down, then it won't move. And just on the top of the spine, so. Do the same with the lace. Putting glue on the edge and just squeeze it down. Now I'm taking a couple of clamps and try to hold this in place. I think this needs to go down a little bit. It will stay in place. So then I'm taking my spine and then I'm going to make some holes. So let's go for 3, pretty close. So in case we have smaller paper, they will stay in place anyway. So then I'm putting my journal where I have the spine and the holes. And making a mark where I need to do my holes on the journal. And picking holes where I have my marks. And the third one. Like that. Then I'm going to take some strong thread, and then we are ready to sew it into the textile piece with the paper on. I have thread a big needle, and I'm going to use this strong crochet yarn and done a little knot, and I'm going to sew with it double, so I'm sure it will hold. Starting in the middle, and hopefully now I will find the hole. I think I need to take my pliers so that my finger can try to get it through all the way without breaking it. I need to take this one more time. And then try to keep it still. There we go. I need to check so I put it the right way. Then I'm going through the middle on this one. Going back in the other hole, just as when you sew in the signature straight into the journal. Then I'm going back in this hole. See if we can do this without making a mess. Almost, I think. There we go. You don't need to pull it all the way while you are sewing. You can do that later on. And then I'm going back out in this hole. Maybe. It was a bit thick, so we might need to try to not move it. And through the last hole on this one. And then back in the middle, so you can go back inside the journal and tie a knot. Trying to find the hole with all these papers. There we go. Now we can start pulling so that we get all these threads to be tight. And then you will check so these are pulled in properly. So everything is tight and nice. And then you can decide if you want to maybe tie a bow so that you can remove this, or if you want to do a knot and cut it off later. I always cut it as I have this thin thread, but you can do the same thing with maybe 2 holes and just seam binding, so then it will be easier to remove and change. But as you can see, it's not especially difficult to put it together. So then I'm just checking so I have the right side up. And if not, it's not the whole world, but that seems okay. So then it's time to put this into the journal. Sorry. And then we are just going to glue this in, or if you want you can sew it by hand and just stitch it in. Then it's also a way of removing it easy if you want to use it more than once. But I'm going to glue on these edges so the spine is still able to move. And then we're going to put it in place. I'm just going to put my glue book under this so we don't get glue everywhere. So checking so we don't have too much of the textile peeking out. And we have our journal ready to start decorating. We will leave this to dry for a little while, and then I will come back and we can do some decorating together. So the textile is dried front and back, so now we can put in some pockets and cover up the spine. I have chosen some old crocheted lace in the same dark turquoise color. So this will go on the spine and a couple of pockets by using the other parts inside. So let's find the middle and do like this. And we're going to put this on top of the textile. Starting down here. And then I'm moving up. Straighten it a bit. I love this color of the dark turquoise. It somehow gives a peaceful feeling for me. Straighten this a bit. I'm just waiting a few seconds so it can just dry a little bit before we start putting in the pockets. And I'm just going to glue them in so we easily can put something in them. Make it simple and easy and have fun. I'm going to decorate this when I write in it, so I'm not going to put in anything in the journal itself. I want to have the opportunity to put in a pocket when I like and add maybe a watercolor painting or just write or do a drawing to explain the things I want to remember or want to write about. And that's a nice way to make a journal. Not overdo it straight away. Let it grow on you, and maybe you want to change something later on. So save a few spots for days that you need to be a bit extra creativity in your life. Sometimes it's tough to have a blank page to start on a white shiny page where you haven't done anything. But another day I can feel that I need a white page to start. Something calm and kind of inspiring. Thinking about cover this up with something small and but I can leave that to one day when I have some idea on what to use. So this is it. Simple journal to play in whenever you feel that it's something you want to share or remember. Don't overthink and overdo. I just want to add one more thing on the outside, and that's a bit of gold on the edges of the frame. So I'm going to use my Dazzling Metallic and just make a little golden frame around the edge. Nice and easy. Going a little bit on top of the paper edge, so we can cover up the crease between the paper and the textile. So, thank you for watching, and see you soon again. We are going to start on the third journal in the series of 3 covers. So I will be back. Until next time, bye bye from Sweden.